Will and I just finished touring a bunch of different homes in some different cities up in the northern Colorado area. And now he is taking them down to the south side of town to explore some of those cities down there. And I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to peel off and make this video really breaking down some of the primary differences between north and south for you guys, because this is a question that we get a lot. All right, now just to set some of the context, guys, it's not like an East Coast, West Coast sort of thing, right? There's no rivalry between northern and southern Colorado. However, there are some primary differences, and based on the type of lifestyle you live or are looking to live, it could really make a difference on which one that you pick. There are some primary differences regarding terrain, the weather, the types of homes, the prices of homes, school districts, all of those things that matter to you guys. There are some differences between the north and the south. So before we dive into those, let me give you guys a little more context in terms of, hey, what is northern Colorado when I mention that? And then when I say southern Colorado, what do I mean by that? So the best way to do that is to jump over to our map and take a look here. So, all right, so we're on Google Maps. And again, if Denver were a clock, we've got Denver right here in the middle. Will would be so proud of me for saying that right now. And there's a lot of clock fans out here. If you guys have watched this channel for a little while, you know Will's clock analogy. I get more comments on that dang clock, and it cracks me up. So he'd be proud of me right now. So Denver, we've got right in the center of the clock. Okay. Now, I want to start off by showing you guys when we mention the Denver metro area, really what we even mean by that. Okay, so what that's going to look like for us. Again, we've got Denver here. What I would consider the metro area would be here, you know, right around Boulder, being on the north side. We're going to come down here and we're going to run all along the Front Range, including Golden, you know, Morrison here. We're going to scoop under around Highlands Ranch and Roxborough. We're going to come all the way down to the bottom of the map here, bringing in Castle Rock. And we're going to encompass Parker, Aurora, all the way out here to the airport on the east side. And then we're going to come up around this loop right here. So this is what we would call the Denver metro area. And it may look, you know, big here, but in reality, everything here is probably 45 minutes-ish to Denver, right? From, you know, the outside of the circle, the circumference here to the center of Denver, roughly is going to be 45 minutes. Obviously, you know, you're closer here in the middle, but on the outskirts, this is going to be about 45 minutes max here. So this is one thing that's really cool for a lot of people that are coming to Colorado. It's not uncommon if you're living in California, especially, or Texas or Florida, you've got an hour drive each way on a commute, or maybe you're in traffic for 2 hours to go, you know, not that many miles. In Colorado, if you're driving 2 hours, you're going across a massive piece of the state. We don't have the traffic here. We're going to be sitting in traffic for just hours and hours on end. That's going to be something that is really, really good for you guys. And that applies to this entire metro area. Now, let's go ahead and break down what we mean by the northern side of the state. So when I say northern Colorado, the stretch that I'm talking about is pretty much anything north of Denver here. And here's where we've got I-25, which is our primary north-south highway. Okay, it's very, very common. You're going to be on it almost every day if you're driving out here in the area. That's going to top off right about Fort Collins. Okay, here on the north side, it is going to encompass Greeley. You've got Loveland. You've got Berthoud, which you just did a video about. You've got Longmont, which is a very popular one as well. We've got Brighton, Lafayette, Broomfield, and Boulder as well. Now, you do have a few other communities here. You've got Johnstown, you've got Firestone, you've got Erie up here as well, just to name a few. But these are going to be a lot of your big northern states. So anytime that I mention northern Colorado, this is about the whole range that I'm talking about. Now, you know, if we're looking at Denver up to Fort Collins, that's going to be about an hour and a half or so, hour 15. It's long enough that if you live in Fort Collins, you're not coming down to Denver every day. That honestly is one of the first points, is accessibility to Denver. If accessibility to Denver is important to you, going this far up north as far as Fort Collins, that might not be the best decision because it's going to be kind of a pain to get down there. On top of that, there will be some extra traffic here up north. You do have quite a bit of people that do commute from some of these cities right here down into Denver. So during that rush hour time frame, you are going to get some more heavy traffic up here. It's also not uncommon to have some construction going on. Now, there are some HOV lanes and toll lanes. So if you want to avoid the traffic, a lot of times you can jump into those. So there are some good options out there. But, living up north here, if you're living up north, I would do everything you could to pretty much stay up north. Now, of course, if you need to come down to Denver for a special event or date night or something like that, it's more than accessible. Again, it's only about an hour or so away, on Fort Collins on the long side, and it's not terrible. So it definitely is still accessible for you. Cutting in here real quick, guys, got to remind you that we are licensed real estate brokers in the state of Colorado. So that number that's popping up on the screen, give us a phone call, text message, or email. We would love to help you with your real estate needs. So with that being said, let's get right back to it. All right, now let's go ahead and come down to the south side, break down what we mean when we say southern Colorado. All right, now when we say southern Colorado, we're actually talking about the South Denver metro area. Real South Colorado is going to be down here in Colorado Springs. It's going to be down here in Pueblo. You can get really south in Colorado, Trinidad. This is far, far south. Okay, when we're talking about South Colorado, we really are talking about these areas right here. So starting right around here in this Littleton area is what I would consider the southern metro area. Let's go ahead and map out here. We're going to hit Littleton. That's going to include Highlands Ranch. We're going to throw Castle Pines and Castle Rock in there. We're going to throw in Franktown. We're going to throw in Elizabeth and Parker. And then we will come up and include the Southeast Aurora area, and we'll cut it over right around here. So this is what we would consider South Denver Metro. I'm going to go ahead and zoom out just a little bit more so we can see it all on the map. One thing that's important to note, if you are looking from Fort Collins at the very, very high end here, all the way down to, let's say, Castle Rock down here, you are looking at about an hour and a half. So let's go ahead and break down some of the topography that you're going to find in each of these areas, because I think that's really one of the primary differences that you're going to notice when you're exploring both of these spots. Coming over here to Google Earth, let's reorient you guys here a little bit. Here we've got Denver. I'm going to zoom in a touch here. What you'll notice is as soon as we start passing through the city of Denver here, all right, you can see the city. Here we've got Coors Field, all that cool stuff. As we start coming north up I-25, we're going to pass through Thornton and we're going to pass through North Glen. And then what's going to happen is it's going to turn very, very rural, almost, agricultural up there where there's a lot of farmland. You guys can start to see pretty much right here. Once you pass 470 here on the north side of Denver, you see how much farmland there is out here and things really open up. So essentially there's a lot of plains up there, and this whole area, it can feel very, very flat and a lot of open space, a lot of farmland, but also very flat. Now, one thing that's worth noting as you start to come further up north and you're getting closer to here in Berthoud, here in Loveland, and then we've got Fort Collins just north of that. One thing that's worth noting is that, yes, you've got all this kind of agricultural farmland that's out here, especially on the east side, okay? If you're up this north, a lot of people want to be on the west side of I-25 because you get these sort of mountain views. Now, this is really cool because it is so flat out there. The mountains do start coming closer to you. As you start getting closer up to Loveland and Fort Collins, the mountains start coming a little bit closer, and the views out here can just be absolutely crazy and so cool. And there's some little valleys that are here, just as you're getting into the foothills. And man, it can just make for some gorgeous views. But as I kind of scroll around here, guys, you can see how this is all farmland. Now, what this also means is that there's a lot of opportunity up here because you're starting to see a lot of new build developments pop up because there is all this farmland up here. Okay, so that means you can definitely find more affordable homes. A lot of new build communities are popping up in these areas up here. But for now, if you're looking for, a lot of nightlife or just a little more hustle and bustle, maybe less driving to get to where you need to go, maybe down south might be a better choice for you. Now, with that being said, maybe you still do want to live up north and you still want a little bit more of a faster pace, well, then you should definitely check out Fort Collins. Fort Collins is a fairly big city. There's a lot going on there. You've got Colorado State University up there, CSU, and Fort Collins will give you as much of those city vibes as you're possibly looking for. And on top of that, just true to Colorado's form, you've got so much nature. You've got all these lakes that are around. Horsetooth Reservoir is a very, very cool place to go and do some cool water sports and go camping. It's an amazing place, very, very popular. But you guys can see how close Fort Collins is to the mountains. The views up here get absolutely crazy. So this is actually a really, really cool spot. Now, like I said before, if you guys are looking to experience Denver on a fairly regular basis, or potentially you're living in Denver, I promise that 45-minute, that hour drive from Denver to Fort Collins, that's going to start to get old. Now let's dive into some of the characteristics on the south side. So as you make your way down south, you're going to pass through Denver and you're going to start coming into Littleton and Highlands Ranch and those places that I pointed out on the south side. And what you're going to find primarily down here is you're going to find a much more, what I would say is like standard suburban type of neighborhoods and communities. Not that you don't have those up north, you definitely do, especially with those new build communities that you're starting to see more and more of pop up throughout Erie and places like that. You're going to find that it's just way more prevalent on the south side. You're going to find that the cities down there are much more developed. There's a lot more commercial. There's a lot more restaurants, shopping, dining, all of those things down there. Very, very spread out and just more developed. There's just more homes down there. And that's primarily because we don't have all this open farmland down here on the south side. Who knows, down the road as Colorado continues to grow and develop, I'm sure you're going to start seeing more of that stuff up north. It's more isolated right now to the bigger cities like Fort Collins and Loveland and Longmont and of course Boulder, whereas down on the south side, all the cities and they all kind of blend into each other, you know, instead of being on their own little island like you see up north. So for a lot of you guys that are looking for more of those traditional neighborhoods, you're looking for that good sense of, you know, community, and you've got the clubhouse and the pool, just a little bit more of the, you know, suburban sort of lifestyle. That's what you're going to find on the south side. So with that being said, if nature is a big part of what you're looking for when you are coming out here to Colorado, then which city you pick on the southern side is going to be very important. Let me point out a couple that I would suggest if you're looking to get as close to the mountains as you can, or at least have some good mountain views, or even some where you get a lot of the nature within the city itself. Over here on Google Maps, just to reorient you guys, we've got Denver here up on the north side. We've got Highlands Ranch right here, and then we've got Lone Tree and Parker and Castle Rock, Castle Pines here on the south side. I'm going to change our angle here just a little bit. One thing that we see a lot of people where they're coming here, they're looking to be close to the mountains without living in the mountains. They're looking along this 470 stretch right here, whether that's west side Highlands Ranch, where you are fairly close to the mountains. You've got a lot of good mountain views out here at a lot of these neighborhoods. And then out here in this Ken Carl area, and then even coming up here into west side of Lakewood, you've got Morrison, that's where Red Rocks is. You've also got Golden out here, although you're starting to get a little bit north up into Golden. But anything here from, let's say, you know, Morrison on down on the west side, and a lot of this is going to be considered Highlands Ranch, you're going to have close proximity to the mountains. You're going to have very close access to 470, which you guys can see sneaking through here. This is going to take you all the way up to I-70 here, which will take you straight out into the mountains. And again, you guys can see that, man, you've got some great views out here. We've got Chatfield State Park, which is an excellent park for boating, fishing, and camping, and all of that stuff. I would say it's the south side's version of Horsetooth Reservoir, although probably not as cool as Horsetooth. If I had to put Horsetooth up against Chatfield, I would pick Horsetooth all day long, but this is still a great park. And then you've also got Roxborough Park that is out here. These neighborhoods are absolutely stunning. We've got some drone footage here that I'm showing you guys right now, and you are as close to the mountains as you can get. This is a very, very cool spot. So, you know, as we start going out here more east to Southeast Aurora, which you guys know we are huge fans of, yes, you're still going to see the mountains, right? They are the Rocky Mountains. You can definitely see them, okay? However, you are going to miss out on, you know, a lot of nature in and around the neighborhood. You're going to have tons of trails, plenty of things to do outside. Again, you've got the reservoir, which has this big private beach. These trails right here that go around the reservoir, there's people exercising on them all the time. You're getting all the outdoor exercise you could possibly want. But yes, you are physically further from the mountains. If that's something that's going to potentially bother you a little bit, then maybe we start looking at going a little bit more west. Now, when we start going west, okay, we can go west to get closer to the mountains, but what we can also do, if I zoom out here a little bit, you'll see that the mountains start to kind of come towards us here, okay? As we come down into Castle Rock, you get all of this, like, you know, these foothills, these mountains, all these things that are coming closer to the actual city of Castle Rock, which is right here. So yes, here in Highlands Ranch, you could live on West Side Highlands Ranch and be fairly close to the mountains, but you could also be in Castle Rock and the mountains kind of come to you right here, if that makes sense. Looking at some of this drone footage of Castle Rock, you guys can see just, hey, within the city, within the neighborhoods, how much scenery and just Colorado feel there is. A lot of people, when they're coming to Colorado, they want to feel like they're living in Colorado. Castle Rock, in my opinion, is one of the best places for that because you're getting the new build homes, you're getting the suburban type of neighborhoods, you're getting shopping, dining, those sort of things. You've got the Whole Foods down there, you've got the outlets, you've got all that stuff you can handle, but you also feel like you're living in nature. You get to really have the entire Colorado experience. Now let's go ahead and talk school districts between north and south. Now, whether you have kids or not, this is an important thing to consider. When it comes to resellability, if you're in a good school district, it's going to make your house a lot more desirable to a lot more people. People often shop for homes based on the school district. Now, out of the top 5 school districts within the Denver metro area, 3 out of the 5 are actually on the southern side. So it's real close, but I'd say the south side takes the win on this one. Going off with number 1, you're looking at Boulder County School District. All right, now they're oftentimes number 1. I've seen them up there, you know, in that number 1 spot for years. It's a great school district. And then coming in at number 2, you're looking at Cherry Creek School District. Now, Cherry Creek School District is going to be in the southeast Aurora area and a little bit of Centennial as well. It is not Cherry Creek located in Denver. Just remember that. I don't know why they called it the same thing, but they're not even close. Cherry Creek School District is in southeast Aurora. And then you are looking at Littleton School District after that. Next up, number 4 is Douglas County, and then which includes Highlands Ranch, Parker, and Castle Rock. So that covers those 3 big cities down there. And then coming in at number 5 is St. Vrain School District. And for that, we're going to shoot all the way back up north to Longmont. So again, you've got Boulder and St. Vrain, Longmont in the top 5. You also have Littleton, Cherry Creek School District, and Douglas County finishing off with 3 out of the 5. So down south gets the win for school districts. Now let's go ahead and dive into traffic a little bit here. A lot of you guys that are coming here, it's important for you to be near the airport, or it's important for you to be in the mountains. Or a lot of you guys are coming and you're working in Boulder. Maybe you don't want to live in Boulder, but hey, proximity to Boulder, proximity to the airport, proximity to Denver matters to you. So let's go ahead and break that down a little bit and show you guys primarily whether you're living in the north side or the south side, what primary highways you're going to be taking in order to get to those places you need to go. All right, now I'm going to point out a couple primary highways here that regardless of where you live, you're going to be using on a regular basis. Like I mentioned before, we've got I-25 that is our primary north-south highway. And this is pretty much going to divide the state into east and west portions. All right. If you are down in Castle Rock coming up to Denver, you're using I-25. If you're in Fort Collins coming down to Denver, you're using I-25. So this is our primary north-south, all right? Now, one of the other primary highways you're going to be using, this is one I use very frequently, is 470. Now, 470 kind of goes all sorts of different directions here, but I'll give you guys the outline and the rundown because this is an important one to know. Right here, I'll start at the intersection of I-25 and 470. So 470 on the south side of town is going to be a major east-west highway. All right. Now, over here on the west side of the highway, it is free. As soon as you pass over to the east side of the highway, this is where 470 turns into a toll road. All right. Now, right here, I am passing through Southeast Aurora, so that's very convenient if you're living out in that area. And then 470 is going to turn into a north-south here, and you're going to come all the way up north if you are going to the airport. This drive right here from Southeast Aurora up to the airport is probably just about 20 to 25 minutes. And again, it's toll road. There's hardly ever any traffic at all. So you're normally just flying on the highway. It's great. Now, if you don't need to go to the airport, this, 470, you can stay on it and it's going to come around and it's going to circle on top and it's going to go east-west again. And it is going to take you all the way up into northern Colorado. So this is the way where, hey, if we're in Southeast Aurora and we're going to Boulder, we're just jumping on 470 and taking it all the way around. And then the next highway I want to point out, this is another important one, is Highway 36. Okay, so 36 is going to basically take you from Denver. It is going to come up here and it's going to cut through Westminster, Broomfield, Superior, and it's going to take you all the way up here to Boulder. All right. Now, a couple things here. I'm a big fan of this stretch because you've got Superior, Louisville, Lafayette, these three cities right here that sit pretty much right in between Boulder and Denver. So these three cities right here, Superior, Louisville, Lafayette, I'm a huge fan of those because in my opinion, I think there's a lot of opportunity there. You've got a lot of people that are moving here from other states or working in Boulder, and maybe don't want to live in Boulder. They're settling in these areas and there's some gorgeous new build homes there. And then on top of that, maybe people live in Denver. They don't want to go on the south side, but they do want some great, suburban type of neighborhoods and newer homes. This is also going to be a great place for them. And a lot of people do want to have close proximity to Boulder. So I personally love this area because again, I just think there's so much opportunity there being literally just right in the middle of Boulder and Denver. Okay, so again, these places are Superior, Louisville, Lafayette. Definitely recommend you guys check those out if you're interested in living in this northern side. All right, now continuing with our highways here, there is one more primary that I want to point out, and that is this big east-west highway right here. This is I-70. Now, I-70 is going to take you completely east and west through the entire state. It'll take you all the way out of the state east, all the way out of the state west. Where you're primarily going to be using it for is if you're traveling in or around Denver on a fairly regular basis. So I will primarily be taking I-70 if I am in North Denver anywhere and I'm trying to get out to the mountains. What'll take you literally you'll jump right here. Oh, and actually I did the wrong one. It's this one right down here. It's going to cut down south into the mountains. Boom, right here. And this is going to take you all the way to wherever you want to go skiing or snowboarding or camping or anything like that. If you're on the south side of town, you're going to take 470 from Castle Rock or Highlands Ranch, wherever you live on the south side. It's going to connect up to I-70 right here and take you out. You're also going to be using this if you are potentially in the Aurora area or live in Denver anywhere, and maybe you're trying to go to Aurora. This road, you do get quite a bit of traffic on it. It's undergoing a massive expansion right now. There's a lot of construction. It's already way better than it was. You are going to have a lot of traffic here. And because up here on the north side of town, this is where like up in Commerce City and just kind of this whole North Denver area, there's a lot of factories. There's a lot of industrial work here. So on I-70, you get a lot of semi trucks. There's a lot of warehouses out here. There's just a lot of industrial type of work going on out here. So that I-70 traffic tends to be quite a bit. Now, the other place you're going to find a lot of traffic is going to be 225. 225 cuts right through Aurora. If you live in Aurora, this is one that you're going to be taking quite a bit. This also does get fairly congested, primarily during just rush hour. So a little more about our traffic. One thing that I absolutely love about it here is that, yes, we will get rush hour traffic, right? I-25 gets congested in some certain points. 225, I-70, as I just mentioned. 470 is almost always great, maybe minus rush hour in Highlands Ranch. I just take the toll lane because I don't want to sit in traffic. With that being said, we don't have this gridlock traffic. Will and I looked up the average speed on I-70 during rush hour, and it was something like 30 miles an hour, which, hey, as long as I'm moving, I'm happy. I just don't want to be sitting in gridlock traffic. Now, if there is an accident or something, yes, you're going to stop, right? But that's more of an exception. Again, I think that they've done a really good job forecasting the growth that Denver is seeing now. And a lot of these projects, I feel like they started 20 years ago, so that we're not having to build new highways to accommodate new people that we have right now. I really think the state did a great job forecasting, got a lot of the heavy construction done early before we had the growth that we're seeing now. So that is enough about traffic, guys, but I hope this video is helpful for you. You know, when Will and I were out with these clients today, we were having a lot of these same conversations with them just about north and south. And hey, yes, there's more farmland up north. There's more just suburban sort of communities down south to really help them dial in, you know, exactly what they're looking for based on their lifestyle. So we get these questions all the time. I hope this was beneficial for you guys. And I didn't bore you too much with all my computer stuff here. So with that being said, if you guys have questions about which area is going to work best for you, there's a number popping up on the screen below. We are licensed real estate brokers here in the state of Colorado, and we would love to help you with your real estate needs. So give us a phone call, text message, or email, and we'd love to help you out. And we'll see you in the next video.